What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about, recovery, deloads, food a little bit, all the things that to help us grow when we're not in the gym, and some of what I do. So, everybody, of course, you're never going to grow without, creating muscle damage and hypertrophy by like going and working out hard. And I've always been that guy that's like trying to be the hardest worker in the gym. For years, I worked out without taking any days off. I was just like, hey, I want to be the hardest worker. I don't want to leave any gains. I don't want to, I don't want to look back and wish I could have, hit one more rep, or got one more set, or worked out one more day, or, I just always am that guy that's worried about being the hardest worker in the room. With that being said, I finally have reached a point, especially with my coaches urging, I've started taking an off day. So I do take one day off, nothing. When I'm in a cutting phase or I'm in show prep, I may do a little cardio on that day, but no strength training. Right now that I'm in the bulking season, I don't do anything that day. I just completely use it to recover. But there's lots of forms of active recovery that a lot of people overlook. It's funny, we'll spend all this money on pre-workouts and supplements and, special tools and harnesses and wraps and everything like that, but no one wants to spend money on active recovery. You tear the muscles down, then you got to rebuild them and rebuild them properly. I'll tell you, the best money that I spend on my recovery is my masseuse and my chiropractor. Obviously after a number of years, I've had some back injuries, shoulder injuries, things like that. So I see a chiropractor either once every week or every other week. It keeps me limber, it keeps me moving, it keeps me flexible, especially, a guy like me, I'm a super heavyweight. So for me, I'm really apt to get, inflexible and real rigid. So, the chiropractor, keeps me moving and flexible and more limber. But really, my real money's worth comes from my masseuse. I get deep tissue massage every single week. I started out with once a month, moved to about every 3 weeks, down to 2 weeks. And I've come to find every week to be my sweet spot, especially while I'm bulking. It's like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you're going to get a massage. I bet that feels great." If you're getting a good deep tissue massage, the massage itself does not feel great. But it's like hitting a reset button. The next day, man, I feel like powerful. I feel the lactic acid has been removed. I feel limber. I feel strong. I feel like completely reset, almost like I've taken like 2 days off. It's amazing. Like, I never, ever, ever regret a single session than when I go and see my masseuse, ever. It's the best money that I spend. So I urge you, if you've never tried it and you're real serious about your training, try implementing deep tissue massage and see how it changes your recovery. Because, we get knotted up, we get tensed up. We start accepting a lot of these aches and pains as like something we can do nothing about. And it's amazing what things develop, even for me, within a week or 2 weeks. Some of these aches and pains and stiffnesses that I'm just like almost accepting. And then all of a sudden I go see my masseuse, get it massaged out, and it's like, oh, see, it was something that could actively be worked out. It's amazing. You should definitely try it. Also, sleep. People really overlook the power of recovery and getting the proper amount of sleep, man. 8 hours of sleep every night is just absolutely imperative, especially for me. And then for me, my sleep is quite broken. I stay very hydrated, so I wind up peeing in the middle of the night. I'll usually wake up and eat a protein bar once, sometimes even twice in the middle of the night on my nightstand as well. So my sleep tends to be broken. So for me, I like to, if I'm able to, lay in the bed at least 10 or 11 hours so that I can really get 8 hours of good sleep. And whenever I feel like I need a nap and I have the available time, it's priceless, you know? Time is valuable, but if you're gonna be a bodybuilder, if you wanna get the most out of your, out of your training, you got to recover. And recovery is like, it's rest, it's getting the proper amount of food. It's just, for me, like getting my muscle fibers straightened out and massaged and put back in line like they're designed to go, which is through the deep tissue massage, getting my skeleton realigned at the chiropractor. Believe it or not, when you get the first x-rays, you'll find out that I found out for me that I have lots of small things that are just like, I don't know if they've been there my whole life, if they're genetic or what, but this shoulder for me sits slightly up and slightly out. One of my hips is turned out and the other one's turned in. We're talking about 1 degree, but I mean, these little things make a difference. And if you've got a good chiropractor and they can continually kind of push you back into adjustment. See, a lot of people say, oh, what about the chiropractor? You get pushed back out of adjustment. It's like, if you never go, you're never going to spend any time in proper adjustment. But if you go regularly, you're going to at least spend some of your time in proper adjustment. And the more often you go, the more often you spend in that proper adjustment. I'm telling you, it just makes a world of difference for me. I'm an absolute believer. So then you've also got deload weeks. For years, I never, once again, that whole, mentality of being the hardest trainer in the room, I was just like, oh, you never need a deload, just push harder, just always continue to push as hard as you can. But now that I've started like implementing a deload week, so, for me, I kind of listen to my body and look at my numbers. I don't carry a notebook around, but I do have a really good idea of how many sets and reps I do for pretty much every exercise that I do. And as I'm going through a bulk, while I'm getting good rest and while I'm eating good and when when my recovery is on point and my food is on point, I should be continually getting stronger, at least staying, sometimes staying the same, but then week over week, getting stronger. Eventually I'll hit this point in my recovery, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 12 weeks in a cycle of bulking where I'm either staying the same for weeks on end or even falling back just because I'm so beat up from just the continual growth. I know that means it's time to take a deload. So what does a deload really mean? It just means you take a week where you do pretty much the same exercises. You just lower the volume, lower the weight. 1 week. Lower the volume, lower the weight. It's kind of a way to, they say you only need to do 1/9 of the work in order to maintain your muscle mass than it does to create new muscle mass. So I'm not saying that you need to only do 10% of the work you're doing, but just lower the volume, lower the weight, take an easy week, take a week where maybe you take an extra day off, or like I say, just instead of going for an hour and a half, you go for an hour, few less sets, few less reps, a little bit less weight, just take an easier week. You'll be amazed at how you feel the following week and that how you'll be able to pass these plateaus that you've reached in your recovery. I know that for me, this has happened time over time again. Like I said, I was hard-headed and I didn't want to do a deload, but once I started taking them, my progression continued to grow and grow and grow. So it's been another fantastic thing of, kind of what I say, active recovery, where you let your body, recover so that you can continue to tear it down and rebuild bigger and stronger and, continue to pile on more and more muscle mass and raise your strength and, be able to push further and, get better endurance and everything like that. So, so then there's cryotherapy, right? Big thing, ice baths, cryotherapy. I'm not actually a scientist, but I watched some YouTube videos that were related to some of the meta-analysis that were done. And from what I've drawn from the understanding and like from my own experience is that cryotherapy definitely has, and ice baths and things like that, definitely have a place. But for creating the maximum amount of muscle growth and the maximum amount of hypertrophy, you want there to be inflammation. You tear down the muscles, you get inflammation, which is the presence of arachidonic acid, which then, converts into prostaglandins, which creates new muscle growth. All right. So if you use cryotherapy or ice baths, a lot of times it will remove inflammation. And there's this big thing. It's like everything. Inflammation is the problem with our diet. Inflammation is the problem with our muscle growth. We're always, anti-inflammation. But inflammation, when it comes to hypertrophy, is actually the process of us tearing down and rebuilding bigger and stronger. So when you stop that process with ice baths, with cryotherapy, and you're trying to create the maximum amount of hypertrophy, you've actually kind of gone backwards. You stop the inflammation, which stops the process from, tearing down and rebuilding bigger and stronger. It's not bad for you, but it's just, you're not going to get the maximum amount of muscle growth if you're implementing this often. Now, so does that mean you should never do it? No, it absolutely has a place. Let me just give you an example. Let's just say you're a soccer player, all right? And you got a 4-day tournament. Come in that first day, man, you just destroy yourself. You play great. Y'all win. You're playing again the next day. You got all this lactic acid built up, all this inflammation. Man, you're just sore. You're tore up. You're not at 100% like you were the first day for the second day because of all the inflammation. So cryotherapy could remove the inflammation and put you back in a place where you're back at 100%. You didn't grow from it, but you've removed the inflammation, removed the lactic acid. You've kind of like reset yourself so that you can go again at the same level as you did the day before. So absolutely has a place for athletes to, improve performance on a day in, day out basis, but not necessarily the best thing for creating the maximum amount of hypertrophy and, muscle gains. So as a bodybuilder, I've come to find that, although, I enjoyed the process and everything, that it didn't actually improve muscle growth for me. So, I stopped doing it. But I say all that to say this is that, recovery, we tear it down in the gym and we rebuild outside of the gym. Rest, food, and active recovery, such as deep tissue massage, chiropractic, whatever, dry needling. There's a lot of different things, muscle scraping, cupping. There's a lot of different techniques for active recovery, and many or all of these can be explored or worked in conjunction together. So be the best you can be, man. Go out there, work hard, but make sure you allow yourself to recover so that you can get the maximum growth out of your maximum training. If you're the hardest trainer in the room, like I try to be, then you want to make sure that you get the most recovery when you're not in the room. You feel what I'm saying? If you like the video, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Leave a comment, and I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Have an awesome day.